Wow. Texas 27, Texas A&M 17. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? My name is Daniel Augustin. This is multi-AF. Wow. I have been one of the biggest fans, promoters, and advocates for Arch Manning all season. Through the good, the bad, and the ugly. When there was ugly, I still sat right here on this chair, on this seat, on this little saddle spinning seat, talking about how people aren't seeing it. People are only seeing what they want to see. They're only seeing the struggle. People are so ready to talk trash. Dog, listen, first of all, let me back up. This is one of the best games I've ever seen Sark call. Man, you got to put his back up against the wall on a week in, week out basis. That's what tends to happen in the SEC, but for whatever reason, he got caught off guard by Kirby Smart. And it's not for whatever reason. I take that back. It's because he was playing against Kirby Smart. Kirby knows how to win. He plays to win. He's not just playing to call plays, which is what tends to happen with Sark. But in this game in particular, now, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you call as a coach. Your team has to execute it. But what you call does matter, because upon them executing it, you're more than likely going to catch the defense sleeping if what was called was the best call. And in particular, I think it was the third or fourth quarter when Sark calls the touchdown that goes to Townsend, the quick handoff to Townsend in the goal line. That is just one of the most beautiful plays that keeps the defense just off balance. And he did it all day. But part of the reason why he was able to do it was the buy-in from his players, the execution from his players. This is the first time all season that Wisner has had a 100-yard rushing game. But everybody wants to blame Arch and say Arch is trash. How is Arch trash? You do not throw to run. No, you run to set up the pass, and you pass to score. You pass to win. You run to dominate time of possession. You run to get the defense, to lull the defense to sleep, to hypnotize the defense. Oh my goodness, this game for Texas, what a game. And I mean, they had to have their hair on fire all week in practice. I said to myself before the game, the winner of this game practices better. When you look at the differences between these two teams, I believe Texas A&M invested more money in the trenches and then invested more money in big name guys at wide receiver. Craver and why is his name slipping me right now? Help me, please, football gods. Craver and Concepcion. Wow, I'm wildin'. Those guys have been making the biggest difference for Texas A&M. We've been seeing what Marcel Reed can do, but let's be real. Texas found a way to really mess with Marcel, and here's what happens. You got your run game working. You're winning the time of possession battle. And now, it's not that you're getting a bunch of sacks. You're just getting pressure. You're getting hurries on the quarterback. You got them playing from behind, so now you got them feeling like they need to do something to catch up, to win. And now you put Marcel Reed in a situation where it's a known passing down. He threw his 2 interceptions at the end of the game last quarter when he had to throw to catch back up. Before that, Texas A&M can just do whatever they want to. They can keep trying to act like they want to run the ball. They can do whatever they want to. But now we know you're gonna throw. Let's see how well you can throw, despite the fact that we're not gonna blitz you right now. We're gonna drop 8 in coverage, and let's see what you do. All the while, when they were doing that to Arch Manning, dog, listen. This game right here has clips that Arch Manning, I mean, he's probably not going to the league for another 1 to 2 years. This game's got clips that they will show those clips when he gets drafted. Certain plays he made in this game, I'm talking about, this is teaching tape. Before I get into that quick rundown, just let's look at this. Marcel Reed, 20 of 32, 180 yards passing, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. That's not going to get it nowhere. That's not winning football. If Texas A&M would have won this game we were going to need to talk about how they won, why they won, despite the fact that Marcel Reed threw 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. He accounted for no touchdowns, not on the ground, not in the air. He did give them 71 yards rushing, but my goodness, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. You just can't win that way. I cannot see him getting invited for that Heisman nomination anymore. They're definitely going to have Pavia there as opposed to Marcel Reed. That's okay. Marcel, come on back next year if I'm not mistaken. He's a sophomore, true sophomore if I'm not mistaken. Come on back. Come on and get them 2 seasons. Please put on some weight. Please. You cannot be out there looking like skinny no more. You can't do that. And the way he hurt his leg, I need Marcel Reed putting weight on his body, on his leg, to be able to make those types of cuts that he needs to make. He's a very explosive guy. Can't have you getting hurt. I don't care if I'm rooting against you or for you. The last thing I want is to see you get injured. You dig? My career ended off of an injury. Torn ACL, torn meniscus. Let's keep talking. Let's keep going through this. All right, Concepcion, now he balled on the offensive side, but he only had 5 grabs, only had 57 yards. Texas does a really great job. I know this is about them last year. They do a great job of trying to keep offenses from blowing the top off on them. They like to keep everything in front of them, and then they swarm up. They saddle up, and they come and make the play, and they've always had a great D-line, great linebacking core. This defense in particular, couple of guys in their secondary that you don't really know if they're the guy, but they got guys though. They got speed, they got athletes. And so they were able to come and make plays. None of these wide receivers got off. None of them. Craver had 5 catches for 44 yards. Concepcion had 5 catches for 57 yards. No touchdowns. All right. Concepcion did have a rushing touchdown in this game. Let's look at Texas really quick before I get into some of these clips. Whew. Arch Manning, 14 of 29. That's not pretty. There was a bunch of drop passes, a bunch of passes where refs were not calling call. What's up with these refs, dog? I'm frustrated with the refs, man. I know you could probably tell my energy is just really, I'm on one right now. It's hard for me to fit in these videos right now because I have a crazy schedule. And the fact that the games were on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's just been a lot going on. Work, family, the games. And I don't record right by my computer, right in front of my computer, just because of my setup. So it takes me time to set things up. So I do feel a bit anxious right now. But I feel anxious also because what a week of football. That was an amazing week of football. That week of football, those wins, those losses just set up what is going to be maybe some of the craziest moments we're going to experience. We're going to see a lot of crazy videos come through now when it comes down to the college football playoff. Who gets put in, who gets left out. Championship week. Texas A&M was getting ready to go to the SEC championship game. And now you just had Texas knock them out of contention for an SEC championship. They've never won an SEC championship. If I'm not mistaken, they've never been to an SEC championship game. And now there was their opportunity, and it goes by the wayside because they lose to a team that's got 3 losses. Let's talk about Texas and their 3 losses. Let me finish these stats. 14 to 29 for Arch, 179 yards, 1 touchdown in the air. And then Arch Manning, 7 carries, 53 rushing yards, 1 touchdown on the ground with a long rush of 35 yards. Just about every single time he ran, though, he was getting about 8 yards or so. First downs. Such a big game for Arch Manning. This was a huge game for Arch. Wisner, 19 carries, 155 yards on the ground, averaged 8.2. Bro. I mean, they just kept the offense rolling. All right. And just Texas made more big plays. It's not, none of the receivers on Texas have more catches than Craver or Concepcion. Andries has 4 catches, but he's got 93 yards. Wingo, 4 catches, 34 yards, but he does have the touchdown. Livingston dropped the catch, but 1 catch, 19 yards. I mean, these guys don't have that many. Emmett Mosley made a big catch on the first possession of the game. Arch threw it across the field. That's a big time throw. There wasn't that much zip on the ball, but he was on time. Nobody was expecting that ball there, so he got it there and he got a first down. Big time throw. NFL type throw. When I tell you, people are going to talk as much shit about Arch as they want to. He will go number 1 in the draft when he goes. And he should. I hope Arch and Sand go at the same time. Man, I hope they go at the same time. Let's get into some of these clips. Let's get into what I really want to talk about. So much I want to talk about, but I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. Man. Okay. Clips. I'm pulling up some clips. There's some clips that I want to show, I want to share, and I want to talk about them. So for starters, right here, right? Let's start with this here. I know I'm wearing contacts. But how is this not pass interference? Neither one of these DBs turned around to look at the ball. Not one of them. Not the corner. The corner turned around one time and then looked back at the wide receiver, just panicking. The refs are so shameless. And I talk about this in video after video. We can't keep none of these refs accountable. That is bullshit. I've been doing my best not to curse in all my videos because I could be real wild with it, with my language. But I lost my cool just now, just looking at that play again. That's bullshit. Just once, I would love to watch a game where the ref calls a good-ass game. From start to finish, you can see it's just very well officiated. But I don't understand. It's so hard to even watch these games and see that type of non-call. It's insane. And then you watch other games and other moments in the game, and your team can barely touch somebody, and there's a call, pass interference, holding on the DB, bailing people out, giving them the opportunity to extend drives. And it's just terrible what we're getting from these referees and what they're doing to the game. I hate it. First down, Arch Manning. Now, this was a 1st and 10, so it doesn't feel like it's that big of a deal. But that's huge. This is huge. Let me stop putting the audio in there. That's huge. This is what the Florida Gators needed when Florida Gators played against Texas A&M. How do you beat the rush against Texas A&M, a team that's overly aggressive? They're clearly looking to put you in a terrible down and distance so that you're facing 2nd and 18, 3rd and 12. That way they get to change the way they're playing defense on the back end because you got to pass the ball. We know you got to pass the ball. Texas A&M don't got no lockdown-ass corners or safeties. No, but they can look that way if we get you in fucking 3rd and 14. This type of behavior, this type of decision-making from Arch Manning right here is the reason why he will be the number 1 pick. He will go well before Sand, if you ask me. He will be more successful than Julian Sand, if you ask me. And I will stand on this forever. Unless I see him showing up and he's not doing his thing, that's what you're going to get from me. Arch is definitely getting some good coaching. If that's coming from Sark, man, you're going to get props from me then. All right, I know I come for Sark a lot, but if that's coming from Sark, you're going to get props from me because his game has improved drastically since his first game against Ohio State. And let's talk about that first game against Ohio State right quick. Let's talk about that. I saw a clip from Todd McShay talking about how Julian Sand is all this, that, and the third, and a bag of chips, and Julian Sand is the guy. And I'm not saying Arch is not good, but Julian Sand's amazing. Everybody is on just slobbing Julian Sand as much as they can right now because of his statistics, his efficiency, and props to Julian Sand. He deserves that. But let's just be real here. Julian Sand, in this game in particular that he had against Michigan, he had 3 touchdowns. He threw 1 touchdown to Carnell Tate. He threw one touchdown to Jeremiah Smith and another one to Ennis. Those are his 3 starting wide receivers. He's got 3 wide receivers that will all play on Sunday. Let's talk just about Tate and Jeremiah Smith. Those were both plays that went over 40 to 50 yards. Both of those. Arch Manning did not have that at the beginning of the season. Still struggles to kind of have that right now. You just saw the clip that I showed you where he got pass interfered, no call. Beyond that, Ryan Wingo is not even that kind of wide receiver. So you give Julian Sand, Jeremiah Smith, who can win one-on-one, who can beat zone. You give him Carnell Tate, who's such a great route runner, who can win one-on-one, who can beat zone. What the fuck do you expect? All the while, Arch Manning is over here throwing to guys we have never heard of. We've never heard of some of these guys. We've never heard of Indris. I can't even think of all the guys' names that he be throwing to just off the top of my head. I know Niblett, Mosley, just getting to know some of these guys. And Wingo. And Wingo is off and on. He's a little clunky. His game is not that smooth. His game is not as smooth as he is fast. So essentially, my take is, and this is not to make a hot take, I've been calling it like I've been seeing it, and it's so trippy anytime all of a sudden you'll hear one of these guys backtrack and they start saying, Arch is starting to play good. No, motherfucker, he been playing good. He been playing good. His O-line been struggling. The running game wasn't working. The receivers are dropping passes. Yes, Arch has been missing throws. He's been missing throws. I get that. But, I mean, what do you expect? You expect him to be perfect when he's going up against Ohio State, and it's the first game of the season, and it's an away game, and he does not have Jeremiah Smith to calm him down and to let him know, bro, you ain't got nothing to worry about, bro. You rock it with me. No, he got Ryan Wingo, somebody who's probably leaning on him, which if I was going to give a hot take, this is my hot take right here. Next season, I would love to see Ryan Williams leave the Alabama Crimson Tide and go to Texas. That's the one thing that they need, and in my opinion, Ryan Williams needs it as well. Please leave Alabama. You're not needed over there, and your game has been hurting since you've been there that second year. Please go find a fresh breath of air. The one thing Texas does not have at the wide receiving core is a guy who can do what Ryan can do, which is a quick 10 to 20 yard pass that he catches, and then he just went crazy and scored. No, Texas doesn't have that. Texas got a bunch of possession wide receivers, and then Ryan Wingo, who's a burner, and I'm just talking about straight speed. I'm just talking about a straight line. You're not seeing Ryan Wingo run every single route in the route tree. They don't have that. All right, and let's just, a couple more things I want to say before I end this stream right here. I find it so interesting. Sark said at the end of the game, you know, we should be in the playoffs. No other team has has beat 3 top 10 teams. And now he's saying they beat Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, and Texas A&M. That is huge. Now, this is what I'm going to say to that. There's a huge confusion. There's a huge mix. There's a huge in college football, there's a big mind fuck going on. They're telling you that strength of schedule, strength of record, strength of your wins and losses matter. But teams like Notre Dame and Ole Miss and Indiana and Ohio State for that matter, but definitely Indiana, Oregon, these teams don't schedule anybody. You know, one thing I found interesting was Marcus Freeman said in an interview that, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he was kind of taking a shot at the head coach from Miami. His name is slipping me right now. Cristobal at the end of his game said, we're playing great. We just dominated Pitt, and head-to-head matters more than anything else. And then Marcus Freeman said, we're one of the best teams in the country right now. Who's playing as well as we are towards the end of the season versus the beginning of the season? When he says the beginning of the season, he's talking about Miami, because they lost to Miami, and he's saying Miami started off playing well and dominating at the beginning of the season, but they're not doing that right now. We are. And here's what I want to say about that. They do not schedule anybody. And it's disrespectful. It's frustrating. I don't like it. They don't schedule anybody. Look at the schedule. Miami was first. They lost 27-24. Texas A&M was second, 41-40. Two of the top teams from their conferences. Cool. Next up, Purdue. That's the bottom of the Big Ten. Arkansas, bottom of the SEC. Boise State. You're playing against a MAC team? Why? You know why. NC State. USC. It's rivalry. That's a good game to have on there. So I see 3 games on here right now that really matter. Let's keep it moving. Boston College. Why? Why are you playing against Boston College? You're independent. You can play against anybody you want to. You can put on a really good game right now on this schedule. You can play against Washington. You could have played against Michigan. You could have played against Oklahoma. You could have played against Texas. You could have played against Penn State. You could have played against Ohio State. Why don't you put them on here? Why don't you try to put them on here? Why don't you put Georgia on here? Why don't you put Georgia on here? Why don't you put Ole Miss on here? Nope. Instead, let's finish this up. They got Navy, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, and Stanford. Why the fuck are you playing against Stanford? Of course you're playing really good ball towards the end of the year, because you scheduled the toughest games at the beginning and then the hardest games at the end here. These are your hardest games right now. These are, your weakest games at the end. These are your weakest games. And when you played against USC, you only won 34-24, so you only won by 10. But now we go to Boston College, you only beat Boston College by 15. What the fuck happened there? Then you got Navy. And I know Navy been playing well, but Navy, and then you got Pittsburgh and Syracuse and Stanford. Notre Dame is a frustrating team to even... They frustrate me because I'm an SEC guy. And any team that goes through the SEC gauntlet, in my opinion, deserves extra credit. There should be a curve on your test, on your report card at the end of the year. You're like automatically allowed 1 extra loss as long as you lost to an SEC team. So Texas losing to Florida, to me, I don't give a fuck what Florida's schedule is. They were ranked at the preseason for a reason, because they got dogs over there. And you better believe there's going to be a boatload of those dudes playing in the league. They had the matchup. It was in the swamp versus how Florida played in Texas last year, and Texas beat the Gators last year. And so let me just get back into some of these clips. The point I'm just trying to make is Texas is not going to get into the playoffs, but I wish they would. I wish they could. Instead, they will make for a really good bowl game. I'm sure one of these bowls are going to be very happy to have Texas, but they're not going to be in the playoffs. Let's just keep it 1,000. A couple more clips here that I wanted to show. This is another one. Arch Manning getting out of the pocket, scrambling. First down. That was on 3rd down. Huge. Another clip here. Texas A&M was winning 10-3. And Arch Manning, again, out of the pocket, first down. About 15, 20-yard run. Keeps the drive alive. Another play here. Don't forget you're guarding that guy back there. And if you don't step up, it's cool. Arch will just run for 15 to 20 yards, get a first down, and keep the drive moving. This guy's so talented, and they're actually handicapped because they always have such an amazing offensive line. They always have such amazing wide receivers that when they get to the NFL, they don't know what the fuck to do when they don't have that. What are we watching with Justin Fields? I mean, How many Ohio State quarterbacks have we actually seen come out of Ohio State and be ultra successful in the NFL? I'm just saying. Last couple of clips here. Texas is up 20-17 at this moment. And this is one of my favorite plays from Arch. I mean, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Okay? This was 3rd down and 3. And just look at his work in the pocket. Look at his work in the pocket. Sidesteps somebody by flipping his hips. Keeps his eyes down the field the entire time. He doesn't panic. Lofts it so he's not like so wired, so anxious that he throws a bullet pass that can't be caught. No, he still has the touch and the ability to loft it. And then literally, if I'm not mistaken, the next play or a couple plays afterwards, the 35-yard run to end the game. This guy is special. Whether people want to admit it or not, whether they see it or not, whether they're ready to say it or not. And you know what? Don't say it. Don't say it so that he can stay up under the radar for a little bit longer. As far as I'm concerned, it was the preseason hype that really, really fucked with this Texas football team. If this kid, Arch Manning, this young man, if he was being coached by Nick Saban or if he was getting advice from Nick Saban, I don't think Texas loses to Ohio State in the beginning of the season. I think they get that win because I think this team is getting talked to and getting they're getting the information from somebody who constantly talks about the rat poison that the media will give you. Look at what happened with DJ Lagway. Nothing but rat poison got into the minds of Lagway, and I'm not going to say Arch believed it, but I will say everybody believed it. Everybody thought Arch was supposed to be some kind of a savior. He is one football player on an entire football team who just so happens to have a very special set of skills that sometimes people seem to forget about. And that's why he takes off on this 35-yard run. Where the fuck is the quarterback spy? Who is supposed to be watching this young man? He's been running since he got on the scene. Literally, when he got on the scene, people were talking about the fact that, whoa, he's a Manning that can run. The first game he got on. And so, look, I'm done. Those are all the clips that I had. What a game. Big game. Comes at a time where it's going to be a little too late. There are too many teams right now that are vying for an opportunity to get into the college football playoff. I can't see any path for Texas getting in there right now. Not one. They needed Oklahoma to lose today. They didn't. They needed Alabama to lose today. They didn't. And there's one more team in there, Oregon maybe, or somebody else. They needed somebody else to lose. It needed to be that kind of scenario. Or they needed Ole Miss to lose yesterday to Mississippi State. They didn't. There's no way Texas is moving up fucking 8 some odd spots from 17 all the way to 9 or 10. All right? Let's just keep it real. Good ass game though, man. Good game. This game is really important for Texas in general, even though they're not going to get into the college football playoff. It's huge for them. It's huge for every single player on that football team. I think this allows those guys to really believe in what they're doing enough to come back next season and not necessarily just jump into the portal. You feel me? Man, what a game. What a game. Big game for Texas. Tough game for Texas A&M. They got a lot to clean up. This is not a good time to take your first loss. This is not a good time to be put on notice to put out this bad tape. It seems like Texas A&M's weakness comes from dealing with quarterbacks who are not afraid to run, who know when to run, but also dealing with speedy teams. You got a running back that's fast. You could probably give them some problems. And I mean, even in this game in general, like the play where Arch takes off for 35 yards, it was a design quarterback run. And when you see the way those linemen block, I have not seen the old linemen from Texas play this well ever. Didn't hear Cash's name get called. Not once. Not really. He didn't make his impact on this game the way he did against the Gators. Texas A&M has found a way to beat teams soundly and separate from them after, say, the second after halftime, they've been able to come out and just separate from teams the way they separated from LSU, separated from Florida. Texas is the only team that beat them. And that says something. That means something. It doesn't mean you're going to get into the college football playoff. But it does mean something. Last note I'm going to make, this is why you can't just drop the middest of all mid coaches in the SEC. Texas could have been in the playoffs, but they lost to Billy Napier and the Florida Gators. That is what it's like to be in the SEC. That shit means something, dog. I'm just saying. I would really appreciate it, guys, if you hit the like button and hit the subscribe button and help me out with this algorithm. My YouTube needs some algorithm work, some algorithm mojo, and that's only going to happen with you. All right, if you got to this part of the video, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. I don't know why I got stuck in the moment. Yeah, probably because it's 4 a.m. Peace.